Hello and welcome. Today we are crossing over Elseworlds, our DC fan podcast, with our Marvel podcast, The Infinity Saga and Beyond, as we will be drafting comic book couples. My name is Jordan, and with me in this is Ron. How are you today, Ron?
I'm doing great as always, brother.
And we have Chris. How are you today, Chris?
I'm doing good. Let's have some fun tonight.
Yes, and we have a special guest. Ron, do you want to introduce our guest?
Yeah, I'm sure anybody who's watching probably knows him already from the very popular ScreenCrush channel here on YouTube, Ryan Arey.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Dude, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah, this has been one we've kind of had in the works for a few weeks here. It was just a matter of kind of making sure everyone's schedules fit, but so excited to finally be able to make it happen. And we're going to, like Chris said, we're going to have a lot of fun tonight.
All right, Ryan, so I have a couple questions for you just for people to get to know you a little better if they don't. Just 4 questions about these characters we're going to be talking about. So, your favorite Marvel character?
Oh my God, of from the comics, like of the entire canon.
Yeah, from anything. Yep.
Has anybody taken Speedball yet?
No, I've never gotten that.
Maybe Night. Is it Night Thrasher? Remember Night Thrasher? Sleepwalker. Remember Sleepwalker? Maybe it's him.
I don't either.
Dark. I'm still waiting on that Darkhawk addition to the cinematic universe too.
Darkhawk's cool. Yes.
Maybe Super Pro. Could be Super Pro. Remember Super Pro? No, it's like saying your favorite band's the Beatles, but Doctor Doom.
Okay.
I'm washing Doctor Doom figures right now. He's everywhere, as Doom would be.
So you had a lot of fun covering that Deadpool trailer, then, is what you're saying.
Oh yeah, I didn't even say that because you can do that kind of thing, like, well, this guy kind of looks like, but he's not Doctor Doom, so why in the hell would you even mention it? Like,
for sure,
that's just kind of clickbaity stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was talking
I think
more
we did say that.
the Secret Wars cover.
Oh yeah, because that is Doom's first appearance in the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
I did point that out. I couldn't resist putting Doom on the thumbnail. Loves me some Doom.
All right, and then how about your favorite DC Comics character?
Superman.
Good pick.
Yep. My guy.
Very appropriate.
It's criminal that he just is overshadowed by Batman. I think I much prefer Superman.
I do. Yeah, and I do think with this movie coming up that while Batman's always going to kind of it feels like is always going to have that throne with DC, I think that the Superman movie coming up is going to definitely at least put a chink in that armor. You know what I mean?
I think so too.
What?
Well, we haven't had a truly great Superman movie that appealed to the masses in a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that.
Yeah. Just really quick, not to kind of derail us here. Just what were your thoughts on the suit? Just kind of the little bit that we got so far.
Yeah, Kingdom Come. It might mean that they're going to build up to Kingdom Come in the future. Or we had a podcast the other day where a friend of the channel, Cameron Kasky, came on and said that he thought that maybe the movie was a reverse Kingdom Come, where the whole point of Kingdom Come is it's Alex Ross not liking Cable and gritty 90s heroes. So Superman comes into a world that's filled with those and finds hope within himself and gives hope back to the world. And that kind of thing can happen here, except it's Superman at the beginning of his career, and then it's like a meta commentary on the state of DC films. Again, that's not my take, but I like it. And why else would you use the Kingdom Come S if you're not going to go there?
Right.
Gunn wouldn't pick it just because it looked cool, unlike some people.
Shots fired. I like it.
How about your favorite comic book movie?
Probably Superman the movie, because you also, I think you have to consider context for things. Like the idea of doing a serious superhero movie at that time. And the movie does kind of turns into a comic strip in the middle act, but they start with like incredibly boring 70s sci-fi for 20 minutes. And then this Norman Rockwell origin story, the line, where he says, Clark, I don't know why you're here, but I know it's not to throw footballs, gets me to score touchdowns, gets me every time. It's that. And then if you want to take of this modern era, I don't think Spider-Man 2's been topped. To be honest with
nice.
You. Yeah.
I dig it.
Very respectable.
Neither are from the MCU, which is interesting now that I say it out loud.
Yeah. Superman the movie is like a huge deal when you look at what set us on the course that we're currently on, and then Spider-Man 2 is just a classic, modern classic.
Mm.
Okay, favorite comic book. I guess either like doesn't have to be a specific issue, but maybe like a title that you like, subscribing to or getting the pull list set up for. I'll let you.
You cut out for a second. I'm sorry. Can you say it again?
Yeah, I said favorite comic book. It doesn't have to be like a specific issue, but just like a title that maybe you subscribe to that you really like.
Oh, like a current title?
Or like, like maybe you like reading Justice League, or maybe you like reading Batman.
Oh, okay, dope. Okay, yeah.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
I'll tell you, this is my deep cut pick that I always go with is Warlord, like the Mike Grell run of Warlord. I have almost every issue of that, which is one of the easiest comics to collect because nobody, you can get issue 2 of Warlord for like $8. I love that comic. Like Grell's art in particular, and Dan Jurgens after him, just really filled this like world of magic and sci-fi. It was like, I don't know, like a sexy He-Man, like a sexier He-Man, I guess. Fantastic comic book, yeah. And so that's one I always is kind of my go-to. Right now I'm rereading Claremont X-Men, pretty early in the run actually. And I have a lot of those comics, but I'd never read the entire run all the way through, just sections. So I'm looking forward to that, to like connecting it to where, oh, okay, that's where my issues pick up. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I could go, this could just be the podcast. I could just say these if you want, like, easily.
Are you reading the Ultimate Spider-Man? That's kind of new at the moment.
Nope. No. Who's doing it?
It's Jonathan Hickman. It's they kind of they're sort of reviving the whole Ultimates universe. Like they have a new Spider-Man, a Black Panther that's really successful. They're all like in the first like 3 issues of their runs right now, but they're flying off shelves and they're a lot of fun. So I definitely recommend it.
Oh my God, I'll check it out. Saga's another current one I read, obviously.
Oh yeah, I've never read it, but I always see it in the comic store.
Oh my God, it's amazing. It's peak comic books. Like it's that, and I read all the Star Wars stuff to stay current. And IDW has some good Star Trek stuff. A lot of books at IDW I want to catch up on. Like they just look great. All that indie creator stuff is fantastic. But no, as far as a Cape books, I don't read anything current right now. But I'll check out the Ultimate books. It's hard to know. Like once you're out of the game for a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I was reading House of X and everything, and I decided to let them all, like on the app, and I decided to let them all stack up. And then I just got so into collecting and reading back issues. Mm-hmm. It's really tough to know, like, shoot, like, it's all like gone by you,
Yeah, dude. X-Men especially. Like if you take 2 months, or if you have taken like 2 months off in the last 2 years, you're done with all the like different. There's like 5 different congruent titles that all connect to each other right now, and it's all kind of leading up to its crescendo. But it's
Yeah, and that was the thing with that. Like Hickman had a definitive thing he wanted to do, but then they were like, "Oh no, keep this going a little bit longer." Didn't he step away and he's going to come back or something for that? That's what I read.
I know he stepped away. Yeah. I don't know if he is coming back for it.
Yeah, that book those books in particular, I was like, God, do I need to read about Kitty Pryde being a pirate? There was all this stuff where I'm like, okay, so wait, okay, how important is that? And yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Ron, why don't you tell us what we're doing today?
So this is going to be another draft. We've done a bunch of these now, so anybody who's listening is familiar with the format. Today's topic is superhero/comic book couples. So now it doesn't have to be between 2 superheroes per se. It's just, couples that are in comic books. Same kind of snake draft format that we always do. Pretty self-explanatory. Nothing too crazy today. And when we did the order before the draft, I'll be kicking it off, followed by Jordan, then Ryan, then Chris. There we go.
Yeah, just like that.
Yeah. Chris, is this your first time with the 4 pick? I can't remember if you ever had.
I had the 3rd pick once, maybe. It was just the 3 of us before we started doing the guests.
Yeah, I had last a few times, I think. So I think this is Chris's first last pick.
So I get the double pick advantage, but I have to wait a really long time. So
I do think I do think there's 5 or 6 in this draft that are like really, really good, and then there's a drop off. So I think you're in a golden spot at 4 for this one, I think.
Yeah, I got my board ready. I got like 30 names, so
30 couples?
Yeah. Well,
if 15, right?
Well, it's 15 if you count
okay.
the 2 people.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you tried to stretch that there.
No, I am crazy. I'm not that crazy.
Well, so a quick rule here I think we're going to set is like you can only have one of the comic book characters, meaning like I can't pick Peter and MJ.
Can't do Scott and Emma and Scott and Jean, for instance.
Yeah, and then can't do like Gwen and Peter. And then, like we're going to have to keep it.
Yeah. So that's just for the person who makes that pick, right? Like somebody else could come in and take, later in the draft.
Yeah. We just don't want like Chris stacking up on Batman, Selena.
Chris would just be Batman and Selena, Batman and
Vicky Vale, Batman. Yeah, we're trying to avoid that.
Batman and Talia. Yeah. All right,
okay.
So without any further ado,
Silver Snake Cloud.
Yeah. Without any further ado, I don't think it's going to be a shocker, judging by the kind of picture on my back monitor here. I'm taking Peter and MJ 1 overall. It kind of breaks my heart because my gut would go somewhere else if we were just talking my favorites, and they're probably going to go with this next pick, I'd imagine. But just when you think of comic book couples, to me, it doesn't get more quintessential than those two. It's, growing up, it's, you got to find your MJ, you know what I mean? Just reading those Spider-Man comics when you're 8, 9 years old. It's sort of still, it's one of those relationships that I just wish they were a little bit happier together more often. It feels like there's so many different instances where it's like, there has to be like this internal drama there, whether it's like stuff with Harry or just go down the list of all the stuff that's gone on between them throughout the years. But regardless, they're still keeping strong, even despite all those hardships. So glad to have them with 1 overall here.
Yeah. I mean, Peter and MJ, when I was growing up, they were like still together, they were currently at the time when I was reading Spider-Man comics together, and they were, I don't know, couple goals, right? And then that gets ruined later on. But thankfully, we do have a version of it in the Ultimate Universe where they are.
Oh, yeah. There's probably I don't even know how many Spider-Man books that are actually going right now, but I'm sure it's 3 of them they're happy, 2 of them they're not together, 1 of them Mary Jane's dead. There's so many different iterations going on right now, you can never really tell. But hey, they're together in the Ultimate Spider-Man book that we just talked about, so.
Yeah.
And we grew up with the Raimi movies. That was when I was 12, the first one came out. So it's I've never not really known Peter and MJ on the general scene not being a thing. I mean, I could maybe make the case that Peter and Gwen is a little bit more of a chemistry thing, but I think the iconic one is MJ.
You know why they had them get married in the comic book is because Stan Lee had them get married in the comic strip, and they wanted it to be the same.
Oh, really?
At least I'm pretty sure. Might have been the other way around. But yeah, it was very strange that they did that. And but when it happened, they even had a wedding at Shea Stadium, which is a Trivia Pursuit question I got wrong when I was 12, because I was like, he didn't get married at Shea Stadium. He got married in the church. I got the comic book. Spider-Man Annual, Amazing Spider-Man Annual 11. And I was really mad when I got that one wrong. I always think that was kind of a thing that didn't help those comics. I don't blame the writers for eventually wanting to distance themselves from it, because it placed Peter in such a point. He's married to a supermodel. Where do you go from there? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Come here, buddy. Come
here. Oh, we about to get a special appearance from the one and only?
Yeah, I wonder if he's wanting a walk or something. I think he got fed. Oh. He'll come back in here and bark at me. I hope I can just come on, up. Come here. Sorry, guys. Go ahead. Oh, it's my turn?
You're good.
My turn. Okay. I have second pick here. I'm going with, I think this is another really easy one. I'm going Superman and Lois.
I hate you so much.
I think you can't, one, they have a TV show based off each other. A couple of them, Lois and Clark and Superman and Lois. But also just they are kind of like, I don't want to go all injustice, right? But Superman, it's a very important relationship for him. And it's also kind of should be the basis of what the DCU should be going forward, and what a lot of comic books have really focused on is his love of Lois. And that's his tie to his human side, especially if his parents are not around. So Superman and Lois.
Good answer. I mean, I think that she gets used as a crutch in comics a lot. Like I think Kingdom Come did it, like Dead Lois, making Superman lose his humanity. We saw it. Great.
Right.
As an injustice. Like, oh, that was fun. I got to play as, and then like they were going to do it in the next Justice League movie if Snyder would have continued. And it's like, all right, bro, come on, like, doesn't always have to be Dead Lois. But I agree, she's his anchor to his everyday life. Yeah, it's a good pick.
It's kind of like that same thing as the Peter and MJ thing. It's like it doesn't have to be miserable for it to be fun and interesting. You know what I mean? If anything, quite the opposite. We would like a story with maybe a little more hope and something that, you know, doesn't always have to put her life in danger. You know what I mean? Or
well, with the MJ thing, for me, it's just that Peter Parker and Spider-Man are always, the stories are at their best when he wins at one but loses in the other. And he did have this interesting balance of like trying to be home with his wife and, you know, his duties as Spider-Man, but she was also a pretty great person who was really understanding. I'm not saying Peter should have married like a nag or something, but it really limited what, you know, I understand why writers would want more freedom from that.
For sure.
All right. I got super distracted by this guy, so I don't know.
Adorable.
I didn't hear the conversation there for a second.
The real star of ScreenCrush, Doug.
He really is. He really is. Sorry, y'all.
No, you're good. It's your pick.
Okay. So this is an actual couple and not somebody we ship, right?
Yes. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So Scott and Psylocke. I can't say Scott and Psylocke.
No.
All right. Do I only get to pick one here?
Yes, one, and then it'll be Chris makes his picks, then it comes back around to you.
Gotcha. And how many total? Because I got a good list.
We'll do four.
Yeah. Let's go.
Okay,
Let's
cool.
go. Scott and Emma. And I'll tell you why. Scott and Jean is obviously like that's the stability.
Yeah.
You know, of you expect that. It's like you're Mary Jane, you're Lois. You expect that stable relationship. However, Scott is always a lot more interesting when Jean's gone because he's missing that balance. You know, the part of the reason the Phoenix works so well is because she wasn't herself anymore, and then she was dead, and Scott had to grapple with this and marry her clone and all that stuff. And then, but then Emma comes along years later. I think Jean was dead again. Yeah, she was dead again during that. And Emma is this complete opposite of Scott in so many ways, but also gives him the freedom to kind of let a little bit loose about who he always was, but was holding back from. Because Scott's whole thing, right, is Scott Summers, my favorite X-Man, can never truly connect with somebody because the eyes are the window to the soul, and he can never look at someone and not see a red filter, right? He can never actually connect with another human being because he's always holding back physically and emotionally. And Emma challenges that in him. And she also, you know, brings him down to a level that's less villainous and makes her actually believe in something that's not just herself. Scott and Emma.
Dude, I love that pick. I'm surprised it wasn't Scott and Jean, but I respect that you're sticking with your preference there because you can definitely make the argument that they have a more interesting dynamic. Maybe it's just because we've seen Scott and Jean for so much longer that it's kind of like maybe feels a little more just kind of old hat, but the dynamic between those two is so fun. And to your point, it kind of brings out it always feels to me like she brings out Scott's not villainous side, but not quite as grounded side, while at the same time he brings her to be not quite such an not an evil being because she kind of comes back around and ends up being good again and all that stuff. But it's for as opposite as they are, I always felt like they kind of leveled each other out in like a weird way.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
Oh yeah, I like the pick. I like the pick just being a little different. You know, I was thinking it was going to be Scott and Jean, so I do like that. Chris, you get two.
All right, so I don't think either of these picks are gonna surprise you. I'm a DC guy first. You know, I love both of them. So one of my picks is because that's my character endgame. Like if I was gonna do the cinematic universe, they would be each other's endgame. And the other one is just because it's iconic. The first one is gonna be Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon.
Ooh, okay.
So to me, Nightwing, Dick Grayson, probably the best the Bat family has to offer. And Barbara Gordon might actually be my favorite of the Bat family. There's actually not a Batgirl of all the mantle that I don't like, but I'm gonna go with Barbara Gordon and Dick Grayson because I think they're each other's endgame. I think one of the things is they always kind of have to drag it along. And, oh, they don't work, but they kind of do.
Mhm.
One thing that kind of knocks it down is I really could have gone a couple ways with Dick Grayson, but I think the one that he's developmentally stuck on, he will always be stuck on it, like emotionally to Barbara. So I'm gonna go that way first, and then my second pick, since I get that loop around, it's not going to surprise anybody. It's Bruce Wayne and Selena Kyle. Batman and Catwoman are iconic. They are two staples of some of my favorite stories, especially The Long Halloween, Dark Victory. I, Hush is a really good book for that. There's so many, actually. There's just so many. But I love that dynamic. I don't actually think it works. It's not my end game for Batman, and when we go to the honorable mentions, we'll go there because it's not really a couple, but it's my end game for Batman. But it's iconic. I'm gonna go with it.
Yeah, that one was the layup for you that I knew was coming. But I'm a little surprised, not in a bad way, that you took Dick and Barbara so quick. They were going to be one of mine on the wraparound that I thought I was going to get you on. That you were going to be like, oh, you know. But that's another good one too. That's another one that they can never seem to be happy. Maybe even more so than Peter and MJ and the other ones we've talked about. They never really seem to be on the same page.
Well, they're very
But
similar characters. It's kind of like they're too much of the same coin. I think they're both the optimistic, call Bruce out on his shit kind of guy or girl. And I just think story-wise, they needed to happen, but they also started out so young, and that's kind of why I think it doesn't. It's a teenage romance forever.
The right people at the wrong time, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I love it. All right, Ryan, back to you.
All right. Let's see. I got a couple in here, but I got a couple obvious ones, but also I'm a little worried you guys will snatch up my weird ones. So I'm gonna go with another. You didn't see this one coming. Doc Ock and Anna Marie.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. You could have.
You have this guy, Dr. Octopus, always been this mustache twirling villain. Never really gave him much layer and depth apart from like he's middle aged and sort of jealous of Spider-Man and stuff. And then they just bring this woman into his life who, like him, is different. And he just recognizes this genius, and she sees the good in him too. And we don't really get a lot of that. Usually, whenever a villain finds love, he gets redeemed and all this other stuff. He still is who he is. He's still an arrogant ass who just, I guess, because he had Peter's goodness inside of him at that time, that Dan Slott run, he just had to open up his heart in ways maybe he didn't feel vulnerable enough before. And it's a great love story.
Yeah, wow, that's a deep cut. I like it though.
I didn't come here to make friends. I'm doing this. I'm in. Like, you guys wanted to do this. I ought to pull out Warlord characters.
Hell. I do it. I hope it plays well on the graphic because it's a very, again, deep cut, kind of well informed pick. Shit, I wish I had more to say on it. I'll admit, even I'm kind of a little like, not quite as familiar as I should be. I'm kind of kicking myself right now.
Well, I mean, it's when Doc Ock he was in Peter's body, and I think Anna Marie worked at Parker Industries because that's after Peter had started his whole thing. She was just another scientist, And yeah, it's an interesting love story.
Nice, good stuff.
Interesting. Okay, so I get to have my pick here. I only 3 of the couples I had written down have been taken so far.
Yeah,
so
same.
I
This
feel
has
pretty
been
good.
Yeah. Yep.
So I think I'm gonna go with. Gambit and Rogue.
Yes.
You're happy about that? Okay.
Yes. They were going to be my consolation because I thought you were about to pick the one that I'm going to pick. It's the layup.
Oh, okay.
It's the layup choice.
Yeah, so Gambit and Rogue, I really liked. I grew up with the X-Men animated series, and they were two of my favorite characters. And the fact that they have a relationship, and Gambit's so cool. I don't know. I just really like their relationship and their banter back and forth, and it's great.
It comes down to the banter and kind of the way they sort of butt heads a little bit. They're awesome together. It's a great pick.
It's forbidden fruit, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
There's always it's like max sexual tension at all times between the two of them.
Yes.
Love it. All right, so layup pick here, Cyclops and Jean. I am stunned that they made it back to me at this point, but I mean they're for my money my favorite comic book couple of all time. They're kind of that stabilizing presence amongst the Avengers in most runs, excluding the many times that Jean Grey has died and come back over the years.
Actually, they're the X-Men, not the Avengers.
Oh, did I say Avengers? Oh my God!
You
wow,
did.
my bad.
That's all right. I couldn't resist. You hear it, and like there's a part of your brain that says, "Don't, just don't."
Yeah.
And then that front part goes, "No, they must know."
He has no clue what he's talking about. Okay, so
I am best you.
Dislike. All right. So for my second one here, I'm kind of torn. Because I'm torn if I want to go comic or movies here for, All right.
Is there one that happens in the movie that doesn't happen in a comic? Is there?
No. It's one that has been made much more popular. Well, yeah, I guess one has I'm not really sure actually. Yes, I believe it did. Anyway, I'm rambling. I'm gonna go Storm and T'Challa here.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't get any stronger than the King of Wakanda and an Omega level mutant. I love their kind of power couple vibes that they always have in the comics. So yeah, give me Storm and T'Challa there, and I'm already regretting it. I really wish I took. Really wish I took the other one.
They were number 13 on my list, actually.
They weren't on your list?
No, they were. I said they were number 13.
Oh, I was gonna say, all right, that's insanity.
I always thought that relationship was just kind of random, almost like the writers went,
Yes.
"Well, they're both from Africa."
Right.
There was not much. I don't know. Again, it's a great comic, it's a really good read, that whole era.
Mm-hmm.
But and it made for an interesting dynamic. I just always thought that they just take the two African characters that had existed for years and ship them. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, that you can definitely make that argument. I like obviously I like the fact that they did it right, but it never, as much as it kind of felt that way on the surface, the writing of it and the way that it was done never felt like very pandery, at least to me. I could be off base with that. What the hell do I know? I'm a white guy sitting here commenting on this. So who am I to, say how any other, people could feel about representation and things like that. But it's just kind of one that always worked for me. Again, like I said, I'm kind of regretting it. I'm already wishing that I took my other one, but it is what it is. We ride. So
you'll have to tell me what this other one is if it doesn't.
It'll come up, because if none of you guys take it, I'm taking it on the next wraparound.
So this is tough for me. I think I'm gonna go. I just worry if I don't take this one, Chris is gonna take it. But then I think if I don't take this other one, Chris might take it anyway. So I guess I'm gonna go with Barry Allen, Iris West.
Okay.
It's kind of been co-opted a bit with the Barry Allen's kind of, I think more Wally West with Linda had the whole lightning rod thing. They've kind of co-opted that into Barry's runs now, where Iris is his, thing that always pulls him back. But they've been dating for I think as long as Barry's been around, and
they never get married. I thought they got married at one point.
No, they do. I just meant that she's been part of his life for the whole run, pretty much.
Yeah, since Showcase 4, yeah.
Yeah, and they have, she's part of the introduction to Wally. There's the whole thing where she gets killed and then she lives in the future, and then he kills Reverse Flash, and they have this whole trial and stuff. So Lots of good stuff with them as a couple. So yeah, I was worried Chris is going to take them, so I have to take them.
For the record, I wasn't, but I have a. I'm not gonna take this, so it's free game.
Don't say it. Don't tip.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
I wish I had more to comment, but you guys know me. Flash is like one of the. I still got to read those damn books that Chris sent me, but I promise you I will. But Flash is just one that's always kind of going over my head.
It's a dark spot for me too. I really want to go back and read that Jeff Johns run. That's like 100 issues.
I have
more than 100. My God,
I have the first 5, like the 5 trade collections of it, like the
cool.
Out of 6. So I just need like one more, and I'm set. But I haven't
started. There's just so many comics. Like I'm always on something, and they're all digital now. Like I read everything off Comixology and Marvel and stuff. It's just so much to cover, especially when like I read things for work. You know, like I'll get caught up in like whatever's coming out, and before that it was High Republic and all this other stuff. Sorry, you don't want to hear about that.
No, we do.
I was turning through a lot of that Jeff Johns run on DC Infinite, and then I started reading other stuff, and then I was like, I got to get back to that. It's like that's the problem with comics is like I read like 15 or 20 issues of this, and then I read 15 or 20 issues of this, and I'm like, I can't ever just like catch up with everything. So
it is really tough.
I'm gonna check out that Dano Riddler book. Have you guys read that? Paul Dano wrote that Riddler book.
I haven't, but I'm very interested.
I have read the first 4 issues. I have to read I think it's 6 or 8 issues or something. But it's really got the same vibe as the film. Like the Batman film. It's got the same vibe. You actually feel really sorry for him, and you get his his thought process, and it's like it's deep, but it's also not that deep. So it's good, but it's like nothing like jaw dropping. The art's pretty good though. I like that book.
So is it just Paul Dano wrote a Riddler book, or Paul Dano wrote a book about
prequel to his character in Riddler? Yeah.
Okay.
It's basically Riddler year 1, and like it's like he discovers this thing that doesn't go right in. He's an accountant, and he finds some dirty money, and he's like obsessed with it, and he like goes outside of his work and is following the trail, and he keeps getting in trouble for being obsessed with it, and then he starts sketching little pictures of the Batman, and it's just the whole obsession.
That's cool.
And you actually start to see the like the journals that they find in the movie. You start to see the like early stages of that. It's cool. I don't want to say it's great, but it's good.
Nice.
I need to read it.
I can't read
Sorry,
too
that's
much
off topic.
of it.
I did that.
No, you're good. This is the beauty of our show. Like whether it's one pick or one little off comment that somebody makes can take us down a whole rabbit hole like this. Like don't apologize.
One last thought on that is I can't read too much of it in a row because it kind of brings me down and makes me like just takes me to that little dark corner in my brain.
Oh, it's all like depressed.
It's really like The Thing is the opposite of antidepressants.
So it's depressant.
Got it.
Okay.
Depressants.
The opposite of antidepressants. So depressant.
Right. The Joss Whedon cut of Justice League. Got it.
Yeah.
No, but it's
no
actually
joy,
artfully
no
done.
Color.
But yeah.
Ryan,
cool. Is it me?
Third pick. Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. I don't want to pick anything that's like too obscure you guys haven't seen. So you guys haven't read Saga?
Mm-mm.
No. Preacher?
No.
Do we know Preacher?
I know of Preacher.
Okay. I won't pick those then. They're 2 great books. You should really read. Well, okay. Let's go with Ben and Alicia.
Yeah.
Ben Grimm and Alicia Masters. At first, I think it started off as like this kind of a basic premise of the blind woman and the monster, which they did in a great episode of X-Men the Animated Series too, Beauty and the Beast. But it was more than that because Alicia she could have had sight and she still would have seen the beauty in Ben, and the idea that like sometimes the people who can't see can actually see better than the rest of us. And when you consider that like Jack Kirby, like The Thing is based on him, and Susan Storm is named after his daughter, and the Fantastic Four were very personal to him when he created them. And you look at that, and you go, yeah, I mean, there must have been a lot of his wife Roz and Alicia, somebody who could see past the faults of this like gritty street tough like Jack Kirby. And yeah, I can't think of that relationship without thinking of Kirby. And thank God. I mean, it was interesting when they had her marry Johnny Storm, but thank God Marvel retconned it in the best way possible when it turned out that the Alicia he married when Ben was away was a Skrull.
Mm-hmm. Yes, much better. It's very much that quintessential story of like judge people on the content of their character, not what you see in the outside. I love it. It's a great pick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great pick as well.
Can't wait to see it play out on screen in the not too.
Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully, yeah. They finally got married in the comic too, which is cool.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, that was the Fantastic Four that's running right now, right?
Yeah, I don't know if Slott's still on that or not, but I think he wrote that issue, which must have been a lot of fun for him.
Yeah, that was a series. I read I think 6 or 7 issues, and I just like what happens with half of the fucking comics we read today. I just fell off it because there's so much going on at any given time. But
so much.
That's one I got to pick back up on. All right,
Chris has his last 2.
Yes,
Yeah.
Chris, your last 2 picks.
All right,
gentlemen.
So
I need to step away for just a moment, but I won't be long.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah,
I can still hear. I can hear everything.
Cool.
Excellent.
You're good. Yeah. Last 2 picks. A lot of pressure here. There's so many ways I can go. The problem with being last and like the loop around is that I was like, oh, I could go there. Oh, there's a run on this. I should do this. I'm gonna go with Harley.
You're in the best spot though right now because like you get to stake your claim on the last pick while we have to wait to see what you do. So I do think that works out for the last round usually.
I'm gonna go Harley and Ivy.
Good pick.
Ooh.
I think they're the best Harley Quinn couple.
Mm-hmm.
And look, here's the thing. They are the couple that's like what true love is. Like they see through all of the crap, all of what they've been through. They're silly, they're funny, they balance each other out in like the perfect ways. They're the perfect couple. They might not be the perfect people, but they're the perfect couple.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure these guys are still on the board. I was like, really? Wanda Maximoff and Vision.
Yep.
Damn it!
Yep.
I was thinking I didn't think I could get them late, and I was like, oh, I just had
that
to
was
do
the
it.
one. That was the one I was talking
I just
about.
had to do it. So
I wanted that one.
I had to
I
get
thought,
some Marvel
it's
in
kind of
there.
obvious. I knew I shouldn't have done Doc and Anna Marie so soon. You guys didn't even know who the hell I was talking about.
I did it actually. I did not.
Sometimes you got to pick for the graphic, Ryan. That's the thing, because they
Posers
afterwards.
Yeah,
posers. Damn it! I don't care about winning the election. Come here, buddy. All right, come here. Sorry. Oh man.
Yeah, that's a good one, Chris.
Yeah, I hate you. I hate everyone that looks like you.
I had to get some Marvel in there. I usually stay in my DC little corner, but I had to get some Marvel in there.
Oh, you stayed in the Batman corner too
until
that pick.
I mean, I usually do.
Hell of a variation for the last pick, though. It's the best couple in the MCU for my money by far. Like, just amazing. Yeah. Damn it! I thought it was going to sneak back to me.
I was like, I kept trying to think, were they taking? Because I couldn't believe they were still there. So I was like,
no, good pick.
Yeah, that's. I got a few more obscure ones. I got a low hanging fruit. How many more do we get to do?
This is your last pick.
Oh, we could.
Last one.
You guys have enough? Do you want to push it to 5?
We could do 5 if you
want. I can do 4. Let's stick with 4. I'm just curious.
It doesn't matter.
4's good.
All right, we'll do 4.
We'll
stick with 4.
Well, let me think. No, I'm going to keep going with obscure comics that I love, whether people have read them or not. I'm going to say Jesse Custer and Tulip from Preacher. So just to fill you guys in, if you saw the TV show Preacher, wasn't that good? Jesse Custer is it's a Southern Gothic comic tale. He is a really violent guy. He's scrapper, but he's got a strict code he lives by, which is an honorable code. Don't ever let anybody. You got to be one of the good guys because there's just too damn many of the bad. Is like his creed. And he meets this woman Tulip who also like had a troubled childhood, etc. But it's just a great love story. There's parts where she thought he was dead, and etc. etc. And he just has this line that he says, "I'll love you till the stars burn out of the sky," which fits in perfectly with everything else in Preacher. And their relationship is like the bedrock of this incredibly like twisted tale that Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon told, and it's a great comic book romance. No offense to Vision and Scarlet Witch, but Jesse Custer would kick both their asses. Just saying.
That was what? That was a show on AMC. They ended up making it, right?
Yeah, promising start, but in my opinion, they changed just a little bit too much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was one of those shows.
The fine line that you have to walk on adaptations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm up for changes too. You know, I don't want to see the same thing again, but it just didn't. Wasn't the best translation.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
All right, Jord.
I'm going with who I debated taking before Barry and Iris, so this works out. I'm going to take Sue and Reed.
Yep.
That was my other one I almost picked.
Damn, man.
But,
well, I'm glad you went obscure then, so we're good.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Man, I've been cleared out of all my. Oh, good thing we aren't going 5. Because all the ones I have left are just like the rest sort of thing. Oh. Yeah, how could you go wrong? Any time that like I read a Marvel crossover event, in my mind they're always like the mom and dad, no matter who they're amongst, whether it's just the Fantastic Four, whether they're helping out like Peter and the Avengers or whatever, they're always like the mom and dad of the group, and I love that. So you can't, them in the last round is a steal, but between that and Wanda, you guys are killing it here. All right, last pick.
Mr. and Mrs. Irrelevant.
Well, maybe not. Maybe not. This is tough. All right, I'm just gonna go with another one that was definitely made more popular by the MCU, but was still around in the comics before it. I'm gonna go Quill and Gamora. It's one that, like I said, has definitely just been more popular on screen. Obviously, the Guardians as a whole have with those movies. They were very kind of in their own little obscure pocket before all that, but the way we saw it play out on screen was awesome. I've really enjoyed reading some of it in the comics since they've blown up in the recent years. So, like I said, it was kind of the top of the rest list. So it's not going to blow anyone's socks off, but I'm glad to have it in the last round.
Yeah, good pick.
I didn't know they got together in the comics.
Oh, Quill and Gamora? Oh yeah. There's a whole big thing, and then there's like
is that a post MCU thing, or were they before in the like Albert and Lanning run or whatever?
I would be lying if I said I knew exactly, but I know that there is like they have this whole like love triangle. It's Quill, Gamora, and my boy Nova. So there's like a lot of cool. I almost went Gamora and Nova there, but I kind of wanted it to look a little better for the graphic. But yeah. So I'd be lying if I said I knew exactly like when they got together in the comics and all that stuff. But either way, it's something that I have enjoyed reading in the years since. Although I will admit, this recent Guardians run that either just wrapped or is going to be wrapping soon was not very good. That group fall thing, I don't know if you guys have seen it or anything, but yeah, no, not great. But yeah, I won't go on a big Guardians tangent. Give me Quill and Gamora as I drop my microphone here.
Yeah, interesting. How about some honorable mentions? Do you have any, Ron?
I got one.
Start with Chris, I guess.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just jumped in there. When you said you were going to take Barry and Iris, I said I'm not going to take it because I would feel bad, because in the New 52 run, which is my favorite run of the Flash, just because I kind of started with that and then branched out, but so I got a fond memory of it. Patty Spivot was the romance from that I preferred for Barry. I thought she was more loving and accepting and more supportive, and Iris was more exciting and more intriguing and more curious, and you knew that triangle was gonna go that way. But I really like when Future Flash comes back and he's like, yes, I'm still with Patty. Like he was like excited that he was still with Patty because he knew how good he had it. And so I'm gonna go Barry Allen and Patty Spivot as my first honorable mention.
Patty Spivot. Okay. Ryan, do you have a honorable mention or a couple?
Yeah, I'll go with another weird one since that's my theme. Do you guys ever read the original Secret Wars and Secret Wars 2 in the 80s? So Secret Wars, big battle world, blah, blah, blah. Most powerful character outside of the Beyonder is the Molecule Man, who can rearrange organic molecules and then, or molecules, but then he learns he can do organic. He basically becomes a god throughout this, but he's still just a nerdy guy. And he meets this woman whose name I can't remember her real name, but her superhero name is Vulcania or Vulcana. I'm not sure how you would say that in the real world. Anyways, the two of them fall in love. So come time Secret Wars Part 2, the Beyonder's taken human form. He's Captain America with the Jerry curl. And he's walking around and stuff. And Owen and Vulcana are just living in New Jersey together and just having a perfectly normal life. They just like to watch TV and eat dinner in front of the TV. And they have complemented each other in a really sweet way, where the Molecule Man was always insecure and she was a little overweight, and they just found each other. And it's a really beautiful union the two of them had. Normally in comic books, we get this this badass, this woman, or these two people are
right
and tights and they fight and stuff like that, which is great. And I love it. Reed and Sue, by the way, perfect, mom and dad of the universe, but also they counterbalance each other in interesting ways. The brains and the heart, stuff like that. But Owen, they just fit. They're just two really nice people who found each other. They didn't get to stay together forever because it's comics. It's like Peter and Mary Jane in that instance. You know what I mean? So you don't always have to cause dramatic tension with a relationship.
Yep. Oh, I dig it. I love it. I had a couple here. This is one that it's still kind of in the process of happening on screen, but it's kind of been alluded to in the comics a little bit. There was a whole story where Gwen goes and there's this alternate universe where her and Miles are together and all that stuff. Gwen Stacy and Miles Morales. I had Cap and Peggy on there. And my only other one was Jessica Jones and Luke Cage.
Yes.
I've got one that actually I wish I would have said earlier, but it was written down at the top of my list, and I have sloppy handwriting. I would have put this in instead of Jesse and Tulip. Billy and Hulkling.
Yeah, that was
Young Avengers. Yeah. That's a great relationship because, again, they're two people who just needed each other and complemented each other in really great ways. And then they have that, that whole thing where Hulkling has to go be the space messiah and all that kind of thing, which they kind of did in the Runaways too, but whatever. So they, there's also that tension of can't be together, need to be together. It makes for a really interesting love story.
It's another one we could be seeing on screen before too long here with that Young Avengers project coming.
Whenever they bring Hulkling in, that's the weird thing. I thought they would have said with the Marvels, okay, so bring in Hulkling, but now it's maybe they went, well, we've got Scar, we've got, I don't know. If they deprive us of that relationship, it's going to just be because they didn't want to have a gay relationship in the MCU.
Oh, that'll be if they do that. That'll be very corny. And if they replace Hulkling with Scar too, please just jump on. Oh God, no!
Not even remotely the same character. Yeah,
no, yeah,
might as well replace him with Shrek.
Yeah.
Well, they're big and green. It's the same thing. Just put them in there. All right.
I had a few. I had 5 left out of my list still here. After you said Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, so. Wally West and Linda Park.
Yep.
Had Oliver Queen and Dinah Lance.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, great one. Yeah.
Hawkman and Hawkgirl, because they have the whole, get reincarnated together all the time. Peter Parker, Gwen Stacy, and Aquaman and Mira, which I'm not as big of a fan of, but I put it on the list.
Has to be mentioned. Yeah. That one wouldn't have won you any votes, though.
No. No.
All right, so Jordan, you want to read us off here and take us
reading off the teams here. Team 1 here. This is Ron's, Peter and MJ, Cyclops and Jean, T'Challa and Storm, and Peter Quill and Gamora.
Man, started off so good.
Yeah, you did. You kind of flamed out at the end.
Yeah, I did.
Why is Gamora?
My team was Superman and Lois, Gambit and Rogue, Barry Allen and Iris West, and Sue Storm and Reed Richards. Ryan's team, Scott Summers, Emma Frost, Doc Ock and Anna Marie, Ben Grimm and Alicia Masters, and Jesse Custer and Tulip from Preacher. And Chris's team, Dick Grayson, Barbara Gordon, Bruce Wayne, Selena Kyle, Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy, and Wanda and Vision.
That's strong.
Yeah,
that's strong. Harley, and in fact, could I put Billy and Tommy in instead of Jesse and Tulip? Because
we can do that.
It was the top of my list. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You got to get some votes in there. Some of the mainstream stuff.
I mean, I'm just here to say what I think. I'm not going to pander.
No, I hear you.
No, that's for us.
I got all the votes I need right here. Good.
True.
Ryan, I don't know if you want to share where people can maybe find your work or follow you on social media.
Well, I sometimes appear on the To Infinity and Beyond podcast. You can find me there today. No, I'm on the YouTube channel ScreenCrush mostly. Also Twitter at Ryan Arey.
Well, thank you for coming on.
I've had a lot of fun. It's been great. I like to dive into the old stuff, man. I miss this. I miss talking comics.
Hell yeah.
It was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Yeah, man. We like to do these drafts like once or twice a month, and they're a lot of fun and kind of a way to break the monotony from the usual, oh, this movie sucks, this that kind of stuff. So It's fun.
Right.
We'll hopefully in the future we can get you back to join us again sometime.
I'd love it. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Ryan.
All right. We just want to thank Ryan Arey for coming on the podcast here. Make sure you like and subscribe to us here on YouTube, whatever channel you're watching it on. It is on both Elseworlds and To the Infinity Saga and Beyond, as this is a crossover. You can also rate and review us on Apple Podcast and Spotify. And in the show notes below, you can follow both links to the socials for both podcasts. And we have a link to our Discord, which is a fairly new Discord that we created. We have a few people in there talking some good comics. And I made channels for everything, pretty much. Anything you can think of, there's a channel.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun because a lot of times I'll go into one and be like, "Oh, there's nothing here," and just start something.
And Chris has 2 accounts, so it's.
Yeah, I do, and I don't have access to one of them.
You might even catch him talking to himself sometimes, and he doesn't even realize it.
Yeah. Well, one of them's my burner account. Set it up all the votes for my team in the draft. Yeah, but no, I got a new phone, and then it wasn't working, and then Duran was like, "You got to pay attention to the Discord." I was like, "I'm not even getting notified." Oh,
yeah.
So make sure you join us there. We have a good time in
it's
there.
fun,
especially if you're a D&D fan. That seems to be the most poppin' channel right now in there for whatever it's.
Yes, because we're setting up our
Because Ron is our dungeon master, and he is a badass dungeon master, I might say. He's gonna get me going with spells this week.
Yeah,
I'm very excited.
Hell yeah, man! Hell yeah.
Yeah. So coming up on any of the other podcasts, we just released our last week. We released our Superman Legacy title change episode. We talked about the suit. We talked about the name change. We also had the Ultimate Spider-Man talk that we did over on the Marvel Pod recently. We're releasing the MCU Villains draft before this one drops, so make sure you check that out as well, which features us drafting the best MCU villains. And make sure you keep an eye on those socials. Yes, with our friend Garrett Ferguson. So make sure you check the socials. We vote for these drafts. So if this is your first time watching a draft and you want to vote for my team, make sure you go to the socials. If you want to vote for anybody else's, just don't leave the page. All right.
Election interference.
I run this town, right? But what we do is we're gonna obfuscate the names, right? So you're not gonna be able to tell people that haven't watched are not gonna be able to tell whose team they were. But if you stuck around and you're listening to this, you know what teams we picked. Make sure you let us know your favorite team.
Ron's team.
Out of the picks that we made.
Ron's team. Ron's team is the best team. Subliminal messaging.
I got the heavy hitters.
Messaging. Ron's team is the best team.
I got the heavy hitters, guys.
Yeah,
come on.
Honestly, I do. If I had to make a pick right now and I was being an odds maker, I would definitely put you at the top, Chris, right now for sure.
I would put myself at the top, actually. So
All right.
I got 2 DC, 2 Marvel. I'm feeling pretty good balance there.
All I know is that it won't be me. So it is what it is.
Yeah, you're out.
I'm so
I like your draft though. Like there's nothing on your team that I don't like. Plus I got to say why is Gamora, which is always fun.
That is true. So what my plan was originally going to be, I was going to go Wanda Vision there at 3 instead of Storm and T'Challa, and then hope to get either T'Challa and Storm or Sue and Reed at the end. Obviously that didn't happen. So it is what it is.
Nope. All right. Well,
yeah.
I think that wraps us up here
Yeah.
today. Make sure you keep an eye on any other drafts that are coming up here. We have a list of ones that we want to get through coming up. And we're also launching our Logjam Lounge, which is our Logjam Media channel, which is these 2 podcasts are a part of. Has a separate podcasting feed and a separate YouTube channel where we'll be talking anything that doesn't fall under Elseworlds, To the Infinity Saga and Beyond, or fall under Pod Awakens, our Star Wars channel. That's where all that stuff will go. We're going to be talking, the first episode that'll drop on there is Ghostbusters Frozen Empire at the end of March, early April. So keep an eye
Who are you gonna call?
that. Who are you going to call? You're going to call me and you're going to say I have the best team. All right, we're wrapping up. Thank you all for watching and listening. Have a great rest of your week. We'll catch you next time.